them to come for an election. For this is in Nigeria about
Democracy and Development, CDD. Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, Lecturer, Analysis of Business Problems, Lagos Business School. Dr. Eugene Enahoro, Human Capacity Development Specialist and CEO, Heltoni Services Limited. Chairman of the event, John Cardinal Onaika.
where they can go and was one of the who want to base the it in conjunction with the president. When you say Damboko, we know they do. But what is the consequence on the economy and the security of the country? We should understand in many parts, Damboko, Professor, Damboko. When you say Damboko in a lot of our communities, it is like Professor Ahmed, Professor Green, myself. But you know what people say about her? Damboko. Wayo ke gare shi ba shi da hankali. Now let me explain what that means. It means we are very we are stupid. Because they say it's representing their interest. So there is a distinct division between Damboko and the rest of the society. And you can see the consequence of that. The terrorists in the Northeast are calling themselves Boko Haram. What they are doing. And we are not taking into effect the consequences, policies, what they will have on the local society. My intervention is to ensure two things. Number one, whatever is going to happen, the election takes place. Number two, this minefield that can derail the election, the so-called cashless society and currency exchange, he should intervene and stop the arrogance of the central bank governor of ruining a huge part of our population. The president has a reputation of being extremely stubborn. But the difference between stubbornness and stupidity is marginal. The donkey is extremely stubborn. Goods, it will stand in one place, you beat it and beat it and beat it, it will not, because it is stupid. We believe the president is not stupid. So he should
thank you.
he should use his stubbornness for the best of the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're facing issues with the mics. We have the center has its own system, and the tons of mics we have having the two mics that are functional. I would like to crave the indulgence of those who are speaking or those.
Improve the electoral environment in such a way that INEC can actually deploy personnel, and equipment enough to allow Nigerians to vote. We must have an election. Nigeria will not accept any arrangement that succeeds President Buhari unless it is founded within the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All this talk about interim government and another arrangement, we will resist an attempt to jettison the constitutionalism in this government. So let them know this, in case anybody is contemplating conjuring enough crises in this country to forestall this election. They should stop. Number two, there must be a credible election. There must be a credible election. The kind of election where the winner is elected creditably and everybody
2 seconds more, sir.
Yes, I understand that. Number three, and it's been said so, anybody who loses an election has a choice. Go to court and challenge it or accept the result. We will not tolerate anybody who causes problem because he does not accept the fact that in a democratic contest, you have contested and you have lost it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, sir. Thank you, sir. I would like to apologize in advance that given the nature of the event, it's not possible for everyone to get to speak. So if you are not able to speak, even though you've been raising your hands to do so, please accept my apologies for not being able to point out to you. We would also like to see that some of our students here say something. After all that we are doing here is for them and for their future as well. So we welcome comments and contributions or even questions from the students. So we will take two more comments from special guests. After that, from everyone else, take like 3 or more. And then after that, we will go to the next stage of this event, which is to get responses from the panelists. So, but before then, I would like to welcome in our presence also Senator Shehu Sani, who represented Kaduna Central in the last National Assembly. Please, a round of applause for Senator Shehu Sani. I haven't seen him. Okay, so I would like to welcome, invite Rufai Al-Ali, who is the National Chairman of the New Nigeria People's please, to give his brief remarks. 2 minutes, sir. Where's the mic? Okay. It's all right, sir.
The chairman, sir, I will beg the moderator to give us more than 1 minute because this is a political season. We don't want to be misunderstood. And one of the participants was saying that history is not being taught. So therefore, since we have students here, it's very good for people to understand how we arrive at where we are today. First, I want to commend my very big brother, Alhaji Kabir Yusuf, who in less than 25 years created a dynasty in talks, something that is in the past not thinkable or possible. In his own lifetime, as a legacy he's going to leave behind, I believe he's going to live long to reap the benefit of these investments. Secondly, I want to start with talking with my friend, Professor Jibril Ibrahim, who I met 40 years ago in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, when I came to do my master's in international relations. And I want our students here and our audience to know that at that time, ABU Zaria was the hottest university in the country. And debate at that time was not about democracy or any other thing. What we are seeing, the way Nigeria was relating with the international system, especially the issues of decolonization, was such that we didn't want to hear anything about Britain, about US, about anything at that time. We were talking about revolutions. We wanted to change the entire status quo. Therefore, the only ideology at that time that you can mention among students to be understood is Marxism or socialism. Anything less, you are a renegade, you are a reactionary. But things have changed. I know also that time, the issue of corruption, the issue of structure of Nigerian society were all debated thoroughly in ABU Zaria. And that it's not even the structure, not even the system, but the organic nature of our society that brings all these kind of issues of contradictions. I'm now talking as a political scientist. So therefore, over the years, things have changed. The Berlin Wall has collapsed. Soviet Union has collapsed. But the tendencies that need people to put together to go beyond primordial sentiment, ethnic issue, religion, remain very much with us, especially those of us who went through the ABU Zaria at that time. And that's where he has stayed up to now. So you could see in his introductory remark, he was more comfortable with the left, PRP. But he also knows anybody who comes with any ideology of communism in Nigeria today or socialism, nobody will vote for the person. If you say you are a communist state, you are looking for a communist state, that is ideology, very clearly defined. Nobody will vote for you. So Nigerians have gradually gravitated towards what we call liberal economies and liberal democracy. Anything short of that, nobody's interested. People want businesses, want to live like Americans, like British, anything outside that. They don't want to hear about China. So this is where we are. That's why all political parties will have to gravitate around that center left or the center right, center. What you're talking about, even the PDP as you're talking about, there are very good people inside PDP, and there are tendencies inside PDP. And I don't believe APC now is made of social democrats. I don't believe so. I'm not talking partisan now, but that's the reality, because most of the people who form APC today were part of PDP as well. So the difference is not there. So we in NNPP, we emerged. Almost 2 years ago, we anticipated that PDP and APC are going to collapse. We know it. And the reason is that because they have distanced themselves from the people. When people have died everywhere, they are concerned about power and power all. So then we say, no, if we follow this line, there'll be no future for our country. And at that time too, sir, with all sense of responsibility, many people believe that it's impossible to bring with an alternative political party in this country because there is an orthodoxy. You must stay in one place. So we have done that. So for the issue of structure, there was debate about what is the structure of Nigeria, but now virtually every political party is willing and ready to debate on structure of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Prof.
I have not finished. Give me one more second, 1 more minute.
5 seconds too.
5 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So what you are saying is that our leader, Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, and our party are very clear about how to redeem this
Thank you
country.
very much, Professor. A round of applause for him. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Daily Trust annual dialogue has a long history and tradition, and it is recognized nationally, and I dare say internationally, as one of the most independent fora in which issues about politics, economy, and society can be discussed in Nigeria. We aim to maintain that tradition and to build on it. Thank you very much. Yes. So, okay. Two former governors are raising a hand. Maybe I will allow them to choose. Okay, just one of them is raising a hand, because I was going to say, in that case, we can have one, but not both. so it's just as fine that I call on. Thank you very much. Former Governor of Katsina State, Ibrahim Sheme, please. Thank you.
Ibrahim Shema.
Shema.
Shema, yes.
Shemas. My apologies for that. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of this panel, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about interrogating 2023 presidential agenda in Nigeria. The agendas are virtually the same. Everyone talks about the issue of security, economy, unemployment, and the load of problems that have bedeviled Nigeria. The central issue to me and to my mind is that we must stop thinking about leadership on the basis of ethnicity or religion alone. We must unite for the purpose of Nigeria and the cause of Nigeria and Nigerians. Without doing that, there is no how we can achieve the type of results we want to achieve with this election. In the upcoming election 2023, it is extremely important too for Nigerians to realize that this is about themselves and about this country. It's not about those people who are seeking for leadership alone. It's about Nigeria and Nigerians. And they must say no to being used to perpetuate violence among and against themselves. They must say no to all the kind of atrocities that have followed the activities of we politicians. Because every time we come, promises are made, election after election cycle, those elections are not fulfilled, and leaders are not interrogated at the end of it, and Nigerians just keep quiet and go back to the same election cycle. We end up electing and becoming, hostage to the problems that we have gone through year after year. So in a nutshell, the democracy in Nigeria must work and be anchored on rule of law. The institutions that operate democracy, the three significant ones, the executive, legislature, and judiciary, must be allowed to function effectively in accordance with the laws of the land. Because we don't allow them to function properly, or at least those in charge don't operate them in accordance with the law, that is why the problems we see go on in Nigeria. The final point I want to make is this. INEC. Festus is here, my good friend. Unless we start up with free, fair, and credible election, everything else cannot work. If election does not come and go successfully in a free, fair atmosphere, and Nigerians choose the candidates of their choice freely and accordingly, then definitely the rest of the activities that follow after that will not give us the kind of democracy we wish. With this, I want to urge all Nigerians to put hands on deck to ensure that this election cycle succeeds. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for His Excellency, former Governor of Katsina State, Alhaji Ibrahim Shema. We are having more and more special guests who want to speak, but at the same time, we will also want the audience members to also have an opportunity to speak. So we're going to be doing rice and beans by taking some people from the audience as well as coming back to the special guest again and again. So I would like to call on Mr. Christopher Sylvester, who is a youth leader here and who is speaking on behalf of the youths. Mr. Sylvester Christopher, the mic is yours. Thank you. You don't look so young. I thought maybe. This idea of youth today.
Your Excellencies, very distinguished audience, and most especially the chairman of the occasion. Thank you, His Cardinal. I feel elected and delighted to associate with this class where we have to dialogue for the progress of this nation. And of course, the progress of this nation cannot be achieved without that age limit of 18 to 40, which is the youths, the driving force of Nigerian economy. But I'm most worried, and thank God for the audience like this, organized by Daily Trust. And the question is, do we trust our leadership on daily basis? I thank the Daily Trust for this organization, but do we trust our leadership on daily basis? One of the components to deepen our trust is what almost 90% of audience here have spoken about, which is security. And the youths are the most vulnerable when it comes to the insecurity. We have had several cases in the schools where thousands, hundreds of our youths are kidnapped, taken anywhere we don't know up till today. We don't know anything about them. For us to achieve this presidential agenda in 2023 positively, we still want to appeal holistically that the security of our COP members who are going to conduct this election should be taken into consideration. Modalities should be created to deepen our faith that indeed our leadership are ready for this agenda, for us to have that election, because their life is at stake if something is not done considering the environment. Thank you. I understand that there is no more. I have a lot to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christopher Sylvester. Thank you very much. He made a particularly important point, the security of the National Youth Service members in this election. So since we have a member of, the representative of the INEC chairman here, in the person of the National Coordinator of Voter Education, Mr. Festus Okoye, please invite you to speak. Also, in particular, to address the concerns of the youth leader, Christopher. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the chairman. When I was leaving the office, the chairman really didn't give me the mandate to speak. But I'm going to speak and then inform him that I assume the mandate to speak. The commission is preparing very well for this election. Our mandate and our remit is to organize, undertake, and supervise election. And that's exactly what we are doing and what we are going to do. As of today, we have deployed over 70% of the non-sensitive materials required for the conduct of this election. As of today, we have taken delivery of all the technological devices we are going to deploy for this particular election. And we have also started training of the core members and other election staff that will be deployed for the conduct of this election. We recognize the fact that security is a huge challenge and a huge concern, both to election workers, to the Nigerian people, and also to the commission. And we are consulting almost on a daily basis now with the various security agencies in relation to the security of our staff, security of the core members that will be deployed for this election, and also the security of the voters. So we want to assure Nigerians that this commission is committed to conducting free, fair, transparent, verifiable, and inclusive election. And that the dates that we have fixed for this election remains fixed and firm, and we are not going to depart from it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sure many Nigerians will find that reassuring given the tensions that were raised in recent years. May I invite former ambassador to Sudan, Ambassador Dahiru Suleiman, to also comment. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, let me say how happy I am to have met the Cardinal. I've had great respect for him over the years, but today is my first time of seeing him. May God bless you. May you have long life and all that you desire in your life. I have been particularly happy with the chemistry between you and the Sultan. The Sultan happens to be somebody close to me because we work together in Pakistan. Now, in your remarks, you spoke about voter apathy. Voter apathy is simply as a result of the type of politics we practice in Nigeria. It is sort of connection. If you don't know anybody, you cannot make any headway. And that is not politics. I read government, who became political science in Ahmadu Bello University. I graduated in 1974. But what I see going on is not the type of politics that I learned in the university and I saw in other places. If you are not connected to a governor, you become nothing in your life. That is not politics. No matter how brilliant you are, it is absolutely nothing if you don't know anybody. Unless we change the way and manner we do things in Nigeria, we will continue to go down. What we now have, I'm sorry to say, this is my opinion, and I hold very strong opinions. It is government of the few privileged, by the few privileged, and the privileged. Government of the privileged, by the privileged, for the privileged. In Nigeria, we have not yet understood that we are a developing country. The kind of official vehicles you see government functionaries driving in this country is mind-boggling. No country that wants to develop will spend a large chunk of its money importing expensive SUVs like we do in Nigeria. I have served in 9 different countries all over the world. There's no part of the world I have not been. But I have not seen what is happening in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
We have the most educated people you can get. But why is the trajectory that Nigeria has taken is not moving fine?
Thank you very much, sir.
Just 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Corruption that we spoke about. In all the places I have been, perhaps we are the most corrupt. I had a case, personal case, of my plot of land in Asokoro. I reported it to EFCC for over 5 years.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Yesterday,
thank you very much. I have to stop you, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, please.
I was told that I must give 50.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I have to stop you at this point. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Please, while we appreciate everyone's situation and what they have to say, we also crave your indulgence to understand that other people also want to speak, particularly the young people around us here. I want to call on the chairman's neighbor, the chairman, North Central People's Congress, Mr. Gabriel Aduku. But before you come on stage, I would like to call some of our students who are here so that they don't feel that, again, even in this event, they have been left all on their own. So I call on Aisowe Bella and Nwame Obiora, two students of Lead British International School, to ask their questions for the panelists. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Bella Aisowe, and I'm from Lead British International School. I would like to say all the presidential candidates have full download on today's event, and whoever is elected is put under compulsory accountability. Thank you.
She was doing well on her own until someone interrupted her. You could just allow her to flow as she started. So, Nwame Obiora, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Obiora Nwanne. I'm from Lead British International School. I would like to ask the panelists what you would do, how you would restructure Nigeria if you were elected president.
Serious. We also have a student, Michael Simeon Uwa, from Lottsville Academy.
Good day, Chairman, esteemed panel. Standing on the existing protocol, my name is Michael Simeon Uwa, and I'm a student of Lottsville Academy. I would like to direct my first question to Mrs. Ibokun Akosiwa. How do we know who has the integrity needed to rule Nigeria at this time? Because if everyone is saying the same thing, how do you expect youth in the country to make the right decision when voting? I'm also of the opinion that if we were to look at the Goodluck Jonathan and Buhari regime closely, we can say that things were not as bad in the Goodluck Jonathan regime as they are now. So is the problem the individual or the structure set in place? I'm also of the opinion that if we listen to the speeches made by the presidential aspirant in other states and perhaps the Western countries, we would see that almost all the candidates are chasing their own agendas while they'll be in office. And if you will indulge me for one more question, capping on a Harrow statement that all Nigerians can live as one, why do we always live in fear of a religious uproar? The fear of being lynched because I belong to some group, in quote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. A round of applause for Michael, who at such a young age seems able to articulate issues of such national significance. But may I remind you that the name is Mrs. Ibokun Awosika, so who is here with us, and also Dr. Eugene Inaoro. I'm sure they will answer your questions in due time. McDonald's David, also of Lettsville Academy. If you can make your question just 30 seconds, we will most appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, the panelists, the moderator, and all present. My name is McDonald's David, and I'm a student of Lottsville Academy. I'd like to direct both my questions to Dr. Eugene Enahoro. First of all, do you believe that we, the electorates, are arguably foreseeing a dilemma between peace and war going into the polls? And if yes, why is that so? Secondly, do you think that the allegations made to the candidates on corruption and drug trafficking can affect the decisions being made at both the presidential and gubernatorial polls? Thank you.
Thank you very much, McDonald's David, for that question, for that very interesting question. So I come back again to, before the panelists have a chance to respond to your questions, I would like to call on the chairman, North Central People's Congress, Mr. Gabriel Aduku, to speak briefly, to make his contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Since the time is already so limited, but I cannot go on without appreciating the management of Daily Trust for keeping on dialogue of this nature, even up to the last minute, where decisions can be very difficult. And I will recall from the first meeting that I attended here, the issue of Nigeria being at crossroads was discussed. I echoed it. The second one, the same, by the chairman of the Peace Committee in Nigeria, that is the former head of state from Mina, Abdul Salam. Crossroad. Right now, this is a very interesting dialogue. How many people living here can say, yes, that election is going to hold with confidence? And that is why we are here, perhaps to cross-mind and assure ourselves that that election is going to hold. I'm not sure I can go here confidently that that's why the insecurity that we have been witnessing in this country has continued even up to the last night. The guns that are in the hands of the youths who know nothing about shooting are enormous. And it was all watched and distributed by perhaps those who ought to have recalled all the arms that are in hands of unlicensed people, as it used to be said those days. Now it's a common tool in the hands. We are going to battle with what? Technology in this voting time. Even America, sophisticated as it is, they are not using the system we are going in. And we are being assured by INEC that they will be there. So, Lord, this is an excellent presentation here. But from all the brilliant discussions that we've had from the panel and all, we are still at crossroads. What can the administration assure Nigeria that what we witnessed between Kaduna and here, when the train was purposely brought down and people were taken to a village well supervised by Nigerians for 4 months, 6 months. That is insecurity. So the insincerity, the indiscipline, which equates into the insecurity that we have, is not being addressed properly. And we are going. We've listened to all of them. My proposal had been that all of them that are now looking desperately to take over Nigeria meet and then tell Nigerians, this is the country we are now going to run.
Thank you very much, Chairman, North Central People's Congress, Mr. Gabriel Aduku. Please, a round of applause for him again while I call on the people on the third row there. The gentleman, yes, you, sir. Yes. Maybe as I don't have your name here, you might do well to introduce yourself and then speak.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Umar Tanko Akase, Special Advisor on Employment to Governor of Kano State. Quick one. Sir Prof, you talk about, or the panelists ask question about ideology. What differs between the parties? And Professor Nur Al-Ali has said, if ideology, its definition is idea and ideals that govern economic, social, and political policies of any society, you can't talk about differences in ideology of our parties. Because if the economy, you are not running communism, we are running capitalism. And that's what Nigeria runs. In terms of policy, we are running multi-party system rather than a communist party system where you rose through the rank and emerge. So all the parties, media people should stop asking questions about differences of ideology of parties. rather the integrity and the principles of the people who run those parties? That's the right question. The second question I want to ask her is, interrogating the 2023 presidential agenda, the policies, the programs, and the manifesto. If you don't have a Nigeria, you can't even talk about policies and programs or manifestos of these parties. The fundamental question we're asking now is the question of inclusiveness or exclusiveness. Societies that were great have failed because of excessive exclusion. So is the question that the panelists should address, is there an attempt in 2023 to guarantee inclusion of all people, a manner of tribes in Nigeria, or is there an attempt to exclude a segment of the society which will guarantee lack of peace, and these young people will not even have a future if this country runs into anarchy? And I want to ask the Madam Kabiru and all our northern people, let history not repeat itself. In 1936, a northerner was ruling and we had an end to democracy. In 1984, a northerner was ruling, we had an end to democracy. In 1992, a northerner was ruling and we had a truncation of democracy. In 2023, a northerner is ruling and we're talking about truncation of democracy. Let this not happen in Nigeria because it will doom a whole people and a segment of society. Every northerner must ensure that Buhari and the electoral empire runs a credible election and ensure that there is transition of democracy in 2023 so that we don't have history on our side counting negatively. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yakase. So I think we have very limited number of responses and questions that we can take because we also want to give opportunity to the panelists to respond to some of the issues that have come up. But we have space for 3 more people. I can see students from IQ Intelligent Quotient Academy, Fatima Ahmad and Kamal Jibrin. We will take your questions. We'll also take questions or comments from Mr. Chris Okike. And finally, we will take questions or contributions from Senator Shehu Sani, who also indicated interest to speak. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Fatima Ahmed Mohammed, a student from IQ Academy. I wanted to make a comment on His Excellency Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. On his speech, he mentioned that he and his team will be looking beyond Nigeria's peace. So I was wondering, what does the growth of Nigeria have to do with neighboring countries? Because it's not our main objective. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And a round of applause for her. You know, that's prescient. Yeah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes.
My name is Muhammad Kamal Jibril. I'm a student from IQ Academy. This question is for Mr. Eugene Enahoro. I was wondering, I just want to get a bit personal, but if it's okay with you. Sir, please, what university did you study in? Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you very much. A round of applause for Kamal Jibrin, please. Thank you. So, Mr. Chris Okike, please. Yes.
A very good afternoon to you all. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, especially the Chief Servant, Muazu Babangida Aliu. There is a very germane issue raised by Dr. Enahoro who appears to be glozing over. He said, and I want to emphasize it with all due respect, that the president of the country is not a sole administrator. That to me presupposes that we are all equal stakeholders in the governance and presidency of this country. And then he said again, with emphasis too, that if the presidents have a very good intentions and it does not resonate with the legislature, no matter how beautiful that policy it is, that it can never fly. And that to me is a very germane issue. So I want to appeal to Dr. Enahoro to kindly help us to address how do we as a country Number one, fortunately enough, we are in a democratic setting and we are preparing for an election. How do our people, especially the electors, be actively involved to ensure that we get the right people to assist the president who has the goodwill to do the needful, to administer us and govern us in a way that will impact positively in the lives of our people. Thank you so much. And I appreciate and thank the organizers of this event, and God will continue to assist the Daily Trust Group to continue to impact in the lives of Nigerians. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, especially for your prayers. Thank you for your comments as well. Senator Shehu Sani, this will be the final comment.
The mic has been given to me, so I think maybe, yes. Thank you very much.
We can accommodate that infringement, but it's fine. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. The first thing is, I don't know if our public school were invited, because all the name of the schools they are mentioned, they are all private school. This is where one of our problems begins. Two, the Cardinal has said it in his opening remark. Our problem is the mindset of the leaders, not the people. The standard of a man is his mindset. All the retired governors, deputy governors, they retired so large. But when they are going to the office, they are not so. Meaning, that is the visions you take to the office. Today, in our budgetary system, legislature has become executive. There is a good project. Each senator and House of Rep has constituency project that they execute by themselves. And 20% of this will not come to the people. How do you get development? And we have so long lamenting our problem. I think we should also provide solutions, because the problems are there. First of all, respect to the media. Most media in Nigeria is against us.
Thank you very much. You have 10 more seconds.
Okay, thank you.
10 more seconds. Yeah.
Even if you don't like me to talk about media. Now, finally, I think it is time for us to draw, I call it, national security policy, that when you are elected leader, before you resume office, you come brave. What does that tell you?
Thank you. Your time is up, please. Thank you, please. Your time is up.
And how to solve it. So that when you now get there,
thank you very much.
Solve them without religions, tribe.
Thank you. Your time is up. As we respect you, may you. Thank you very much. A round of applause for him for the passion that he demonstrates in speaking about Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Well, every time the nation is moving towards an election season, there has always been this platitude of Nigeria is at a crossroad. It's a make or mar situation, all sort of threat to the unity, the peace, and stability of the country. Now, there's one key word here in this theme, which is interrogation. And this interrogation is very important. If you pick an average Nigerian, it is difficult for you at this time, few weeks to election, to tell you of what any of these candidates stands for on education, on sports, on health, on foreign policy, on almost anything. This is unusual. It's not what happens in other countries. We are simply repeating what has always been done. It's just like INEC. In every election, they will tell you they are serious. They have sensitive and unsensitive materials ready. And then on election day, which is always Saturday, they deliver materials at 12 or 1 o'clock. It has always been their way. Now, it's so ridiculous in Nigeria today, few weeks to election, many people don't know what their candidate stood for. Our candidate speaks better when they are invited by Chatham House to go and speak. That mentality of speaking. It has reached such a point, sometimes in a rally, the candidates just come and wave hands and dance for 2 minutes for a nation of 211 million people. And then the rally is over. How can you elect leaders based on this kind of presentation? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Senator Shoshan. And I think that brings us to the end of this session for comments and questions from audience members as well as special guests. So I give opportunity to the panelists to take 2 minutes each to address some of the issues that have been raised during the question and answer panel. Thank you. Again, I start from my right with Mrs. Ibukun Awosika. Thank you, ma'am.
In 2 minutes, we wouldn't even try to answer much. However, let me just say this. I mean, it's nice for the political class to scare us as much as it has been done today, with the likelihood of everything going wrong within the period of an election. It's the responsibility of every government in power to ensure at this moment that the country is in a state in which we can actually have an election. And at the end of the day, we will. And Nigeria will not burn, Nigeria will not be consumed, no matter how much people try to scare us. Because when, instead of giving the hope and the encouragement to the people, and whether you're in power or not, it's in the interest of all of us that the elections hold and that Nigeria works. And therefore, whether you're the one in power or not, you should be working with the government in power in any way to ensure that we have a free and fair election and that every area of Nigeria works to the best that we can within the context of where we are right now. So that's for all of us. And it's on you, the politicians. Let's just not lie. Maybe one government brought the problem to one level, the next government took it over, and it's a compounding of the problem that got us to where we are. But for the sake of the ordinary citizens of this country, we will get through this too, and we will get to the next level. Now, the young man asked, how do you differentiate between the candidates where there's no clarity of policies and agenda? At the end of the day, what do you look for in a leader? That's what I want you to think about. You need a person who has the fear of God, one. Because if you have the fear of God, there are things you will not do that would be against the people or the nation. And once you have the power, you can do anything with it except you have the consciousness of not doing the wrong things with it. Two, you must look for a person who genuinely, in one way or the other, has demonstrated a true love and commitment to nation building and to the people. Because you only do what is right by the people that you're elected to govern because you have compassion and because you feel a sense of responsibility that compels you to do what, I mean, if you look at a child that is out of school, do you want to know that that person is the kind of person that can ask, if this is my child, will I leave the child there? If you look at people who are sick, who die for medication that 500 naira can cure, you want them to be able to say, if this was a member of my family, would I want to create a situation where this person would die for this? If you look at a man who looks at people being kidnapped and families being destroyed, you want to know that they feel the pain of the people enough to want real change that will impact the lives of the people. And then you look at their antecedents and their track record. You know, as an employer of labor, we always say, I will employ for character and I will train for skills. So it's not who comes to the presidency 100% prepared for it. No one. Everyone will learn on the job. But the intent of the people by their antecedents, do they care just about themselves or do they really care about Nigeria? Because no one who cares about Nigeria would do some of the things that are done when people get political power in our country. And we, as the people, are the ones who have the ultimate responsibility to use whatever tool is in our hands to ensure that we might not have all the power because the system works against us, but that we use whatever is in our hands to make the point about who is right to gain that power. Because once we give it, they hold the power, and they will use it against us or for us, depending on the kind of person that we choose. That's our responsibility, and whoever we choose, it's on us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ibukun Awoshika. Please, a round of applause for her closing remarks and response to some of the issues. That was brilliant, you know. I call on again from my right, Dr. Eugene Enahoro. He received quite a few of the questions from the audience, so I hand him the mic to also respond. Thank you.
The first question I'd like to reply to is one young man who stood up there and he asked me which university I attended. Maybe he wants to apply to that university. But so I'll first answer that one. I attended the University of Birmingham, UK. But the reason why I speak like I do is because I also attended the University of Life. So when you become old like me, you may be able to speak like me as well. There was another young person there who spoke about we, the youth, and I wondered if any of them is actually a legible voter, because they all look so young. I think the age for voting is 18, and I don't really think one should be in secondary school at 18, but nevertheless, I take that. There was another young lady who spoke about religion. Now, this is very important. People talk about religion and say it's not important. Unfortunately, it is important simply because whenever anybody takes an oath of office, they place their hand on the Bible or Quran to swear to uphold the Constitution. They don't place their hand on the Constitution and start swearing to uphold the Bible or Quran. So religion is not important when you're talking about godliness. That's why we say it shouldn't be important. But it is important simply because it's meant to be personal, and people have carried it outside their personal space. So we have Christians who love going on crusade, and Muslims who love going on jihad. What we say is just don't try to convince anybody to change their religion to your religion, right? Religion is a personal thing, and it should be kept personal. Another man over there asked me, I said the president is not a sole administrator, what should you do? What you should do is also worry about who's contesting for Senate, who's contesting for House of Reps, who's contesting as your councillor. But the focus of all this election, you'd actually think that there's only one election taking place for the president. There's so many, I don't know the actual number, but there's so many of elections taking place. So also concentrate on who is you're voting for in your constituency. And then from there, it will go on. Because at the end of the day, there's a primary school in my village, and I really don't think it should be the concern of the president about what's happening in my village. The last thing I'd like to comment on is the youth leader who stood up. I don't know how old you are, but you quoted that youth is something up to the age of 40. I'm not really that, because most of my children were born before I was 40, and I don't think I was a youth when I became a father. So when we talk about the youth, although I know it's also said that there's no provision that the youth leader himself must be a youth. Right? Yeah, we've heard all those ones before, because basically in every political party where you see the youth leader, this is a man closer to 60 than 40. So when you talk about the youth, we still come back to the educational system and the teaching of history. There is nothing, they say if you don't know where you're coming from, you won't know where you're going to. So without wanting to offend anybody, I'll just, an example, some of us were old enough to have seen the Civil War. Now, whatever it was certainly not a good time for the Igbo people. They went through tremendous suffering. So for anybody to be romanticizing that period and telling them there was something wonderful, you should be saying never again Biafra. Not the concept. Sure, you can, go and form another country, but don't think that word represented a good time. But the history they are teaching is the same history in the 60s, Songhai Empire, Mali Empire. What about our post-independence history? That is what we have to teach these youth. before we can know that they can actually contribute meaningfully into our future. This is what know how we got here. So it is essential that somehow they are taught post-independence history, not the old history of, I can still quote, wow, Mansa Musa, Maiji Saluma, Ibn Battuta, Songhai Empire, Mali Empire, all this one. That's not what is relevant now. It is from 1960. How did we get to this point? If we can teach that to the youth, then they will be able to contribute effectively to the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eugene Enahoro. If we can teach them about contemporary Nigerian history between 1960 today, then at least we will know why we are here and how we can make progress from this point onwards. And with that, I hand the mic to Dr. Yetunde Anibaba, who I said earlier is a lecturer in business problems. So let's regard the election as a business and see where we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Since you went in that direction, let me just also repeat the fact that, in truth, like Dr. Naro said earlier, that if we don't truly understand the problem, we can't solve it. And a lot of the postulations about what the problem is about Nigeria have always been and still remain at a very high level. We have not truly gone to the roots of what the problems are. And until we do that, we can't solve them. Now, having said that, I'd like to respond to the young lady's question about what has the growth of Nigeria got to do with other countries. I'm sure that Professor Ibrahim can answer that question much better, but let me just say that, remember, we've been talking about the security of the country, right? And to a significant extent, part of the insecurity we experience comes from the region. Yeah, and so if we're not able to tackle that, then we lose the opportunity to actually properly and fully address the issues of security in our country and therefore an environment to facilitate our growth. Now, finally, at the risk of repeating what Mrs. Awoshika said, we can buy competence. We can buy capacity. We cannot buy character. So as we plan to vote, please look at the antecedents of the candidates. Yes, none of them is perfect, but let's attempt to look at the one that at least inspires some level of trust, and let's move in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yetunde Anibaba. So maybe straight to you, Prof.
Thank you. I'll first respond to the first question posed by the student about accountability. How can we ensure we have accountability? I must confess it's very difficult to ensure we have accountability because when a government comes in and public corruption sets in, it is engineered by members of government, and therefore that government is reluctant to expose its own members who are violating the principles of accountability. And that's why we are saying, when elections come, you should look for people with integrity who, even if it's their party members are involved, are ready to deal with them, are ready to prosecute them, are ready to question their behavior. That links me to the second question from another student, that how do we know who has integrity? The reality is that that's the easy part. There is no secret in the conduct of public affairs in Nigeria. Most of us know what's happening. We know those who are stealing. We know how far the stealing goes. We may not know all, but we do have sufficient information on how people conduct themselves in government. The problem we have, I think it's Eugene who made the point, is that you go, you steal money in Abuja, you go back to your village, you get a chieftaincy title, and then you contest for governor. This is where we as citizens need to use our anthropological knowledge of
the integrity deficits of those who have had public office and use that knowledge to make sure that we do not allow them back to places where they can continue to loot the public treasury. The third issue has to do with the point His Royal Highness Ismaila Mohammed raised about the dangers of state police. I'm one of those who agree completely with him that is a very dangerous proposal because the governors are already excessively powerful in our system. And we have two governors here who I'm sure will confirm that. They know how much power they had when they were in office. And giving them extra power will just block the process of governance. The final issue is the point Minister Bategara made about the madness of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Let's be honest. It is one of the most foolish and crazy policy initiative any government has taken in the history of this country, for the simple reason that we've had the experience of changing the currency in a very short time in 1984, and it was a disaster for this country. Secondly, this time around, the government has decided the mint alone will print the new currency. The mint has no capacity to print the currency, and that currency doesn't exist. I've made inquiries, they have about 2% of the currency they need. What is happening today? Yesterday on BBC, they were reporting in a cattle market in the Northeast. They are now doing cattle business in CFA francs because people are already rejecting the Naira, and the new Naira is not available. Markets are closing. There is a huge percentage of Nigerians that doesn't do transactions electronically and depend on cash. Around an election that's coming, that's contentious, that you have 4 candidates, each of which has a possibility of winning that election, and you decide you want to create tension by people losing their hard-earned savings because you think you want to do a policy. At this point, I must say Tinubu is right. There's a plot to destroy this government.
We can assure you this is not part of the plot. It's just a normal technical glitch that we normally have in this country. It's not part of the plot. Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest, our invited guest, chairman of the occasion, royal father of the day, chairman, Daily Trust, and ladies and gentlemen, please give us another round of applause for our panelists over here again for what we have learned from their insights. Mrs. Awashika, Dr. Eugene Inahoro, Dr. Yetimde Anibaba, and Professor Jibril Ibrahim, I want to thank you also on behalf of the audience. And this brings us to the end of this event, and I will immediately like to call on Malang Abdullahi Wada Maida to come forth and give us closing remarks to officially close this very interesting and very intellectually rousing event. Thank you very much.
Standing on all existing protocol, on behalf of Media Trust Limited, I would sincerely like to thank you all for taking your time out to join us for the 20th edition of the Daily Trust Dialogue. We would not have arrived at this 20th edition if it was not for the patriotic audience that has been supporting us from day one. So we thank you for that. We would like to thank the chairman of the occasion. We contacted him without much of a heads up, and he graciously accepted to join us. So we thank you, sir. We would like to thank our royal father, and we would also like to thank the ambassador to the United States and other foreign dignitaries here who are supporting the development of Nigeria's democracy. We would like to thank the organizing committee who made this event possible and gave us this platform to have this dialogue. The purpose of dialogue is to create better understanding so that we can become better people. And I think our panelists have expertly interrogated the manifestos and utterances of the various candidates and have increased our understanding of what's at stake. And I think by thus doing so, they have made us better people. We would like to thank the sponsors of the event for making it possible. And we hope that everybody that has taken his time to join us online and offline will have a peaceful journey back to their homes. And we hope a year from now, when we come back for the 21st edition, we would be talking about how we had a successful and peaceful elections. Thank you for coming, and have a safe journey home.
Thank you very much, Malam Abdullahi Wada Maida, Director, Media Trust Nigeria Limited. Please, a round of applause for him for that vote of thanks. He's one of our directors of the organization. And Mrs. Aoshika, I have another role for you, which I've just been reliably told that you are also a pastor at a church. So I would like to crave your indulgence this time around at the podium to give us a closing prayer for this event. Thank you very much.
Shall we pray? And we do need prayers. We all know that. Okay. Our Father and our Lord, we bless you for this and this opportunity to gather at this event. We thank you, Lord, for a successful day. But more than anything else, we stand together in agreement and we present our country to you. The Bible says, if my people who are called by my name shall repent from their ways and humble themselves, that I will heal their land. Father, this is our land. We are your people. We ask, Lord, we confess all our mistakes, all our errors, mistakes from the past, mistakes of now, and God knows what else we will do in the next few weeks as we go towards our election. But we ask for your forgiveness, we ask for your mercy, and we declare that this land shall stand. We declare that every force and gathering of evil against Nigeria, that it will not stand. We declare, Lord, that as many people as are working against the peace and the prosperity of this nation, we declare that they will be exposed and they will be destroyed. We speak peace to every segment of our government. And we speak peace to INEC. We speak wisdom for INEC. We speak peace to all the operators of every segment of our elections, and to all our leaders. And we say, Lord, they will hear your voice in the middle of the night, and they will only do that which is right by us and as a nation. Thank you, Father, for everyone that has been involved in today. But more than today, thank you for our future. Blessed be your holy name. In Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. May we all rise for the national anthem, and then we're done. And then there will also be group pictures in front of this stage. So I would like the special guest, the chairman of the event, the royal father of the day, and Media Trust directors to remain for the group picture. Thank you. After the national anthem. 1, 2, 3. must obey to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve one nation bound in freedom, peace and unity. Thank you very much.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Inherited a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Or really, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
you